It's really beautiful when you learn to love yourself. Sometimes life is hard. We all have these kind of moments. Everybody has these kind of moments, and it's really okay to not be okay. Hi guys. Today I am going to chat with y'all about what it practically looks like to be on the journey of learning to love yourself. And today was messy. Today was all sorts of emotions. And so I want to share a little bit about what this looks like kind of when you're in the midst of it. These practical moments of choosing to love myself versus abandoning myself, and how I learned to bring Elijah into that process, and the beauty and the messiness of it all. So sometimes life is hard. Sometimes you just feel sad, and that's okay. I think for years I tried to run away from the sadness and run away from the emotions that felt hard and ugly and that I thought nobody else would want to see. And I've learned that only made me feel more sad, more lonely, more unknown and isolated than when I would open up and share what was going on inside of me. Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's been so much easier for me to put on a fake smile and just mask all the emotions that are going on inside of me and all the things that feel really hard about life. But guys, that's no way of living. How do you ever heal and move on and become a greater version of yourself without confronting all the emotions inside of yourself? And I've recently just been so thinking about the journey of learning to love myself. And I think about how it was so hard to love myself because I didn't love when I had a negative emotion. I didn't love myself when I felt bad. I didn't love myself if I didn't just feel happy and joyful. And so I would fill my life with pointless things to keep myself busy so I didn't have to feel emotions. And today was kind of one of those days where I felt like I fell back into the rhythm of just keeping myself busy so I wouldn't have to deal with the emotions that were inside of me. And I woke up with this anxiety of like, I need to accomplish something today. I need to get things done. I need to make the most of my time today because I don't want to sit with the emotions about myself. So I woke up and was like, let's go to church. And Elijah was like, oh, I don't want to rush off to church. I'm like, okay. And then it's like, okay, well, let's go for a walk. So we go for a 30-minute walk, and then we come back to the house, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna fill my day with a bunch of errands and things I need to get done and make myself feel like I'm accomplishing something and important and checking things off the list and realizing, what am I doing? And I just went and laid on my bed, and I literally just started to doze off. And when I got back up, those emotions, they weren't totally gone, but there was this level of relief. I felt my heart feel of oh, you're gonna let me breathe today. You're gonna let me feel something. I ended up just crying to Elijah this afternoon. These are the very real emotions I've been feeling for weeks, and I don't know why I felt this way, but I need to be open and honest and share that. And I don't know, I felt prompted to record this video because I think for so many years I just looked at the world and at people and was looking for someone to give me permission to just not be okay and to be a mess and to just know that it was okay to not be okay. And I just feel like someone needed to hear that today. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not know why you're feeling certain things. And you don't have to mask it up with any logical sense. Sometimes our hearts feel something, and we just get to bring our heart to the Lord and lay it at His feet and go, oh, this is all of me and all of my mess and all of my emotions and all of my I don't know what to do and just put it at his feet. And he picks it up and he looks at it, and he doesn't just go, this is what you need to do to fix this, and here's your 5-step plan. But he picks up our hearts and he looks at them and he holds them near his heart. He picks up our hearts and he lends them compassion, and he lends them love and his comfort. He doesn't just go, now get out of bed. Just, you shouldn't be feeling this. You shouldn't be feeling that. Doesn't go, oh, so glad you gave me this emotion. Now keep on going on. No, he picks up your heart and he goes, wow, that's really valuable. That emotion you're feeling is really valuable. It's telling you something. Our emotions are indicators for something going on inside. They're not bad or illogical or worthless. They're indicators of something going on inside of us. And the Holy Spirit is the greatest counselor. He's the wisest counselor. And so we get to bring all of our emotions to him and hear what he has to say about them. Learning to love myself has been one of my greatest lifelong challenges. I struggled for so many years to love myself, from anxiety and depression to eating disorders, and endless amounts of performance and perfectionism left me feeling unknown and lonely and depressed and all sorts of things. Like I was never enough and I was never going to be good enough. And there was this ideal of who I could become, and then I would love myself, but it's unattainable. That person, no matter how well I performed or how thin I became, I didn't love myself because I didn't love all of me. I loved certain things about me, but I didn't love the 12-year-old Allie who felt awkward and weird in her own skin as her body began to change. I didn't love her. And when people brought her up and talked about her, I felt a level of shame and a level of, I don't want to talk about her. And it wasn't until way down the line, I'll never forget my sister telling me one day, I was in my 20s at this point, and some new friends of mine were just jokingly, like you do in sort of a social setting, looking at, what did you look like as a kid? And they were looking at this photo of me when I was 12 years old, and someone made a comment about my appearance, and I felt so much shame. And I remember getting up from the table and walking to the bathroom feeling like I can't even stick up for 12-year-old Allie in that moment. And I can't even laugh about the remark you just made, even though it was just so funny. We all felt awkward at 12 years old, and we all wore weird outfits, and we all just were strange. Like, we all went through an awkward phase of our life, but for some reason I found it so hard to love 13-year-old Allie or 12-year-old Allie. And I remember calling my sister after that and sitting on the phone with her, and my little sister, in all of her wisdom, sat with me on the phone that day, and she just said, Allie, you don't love all of yourself. If you don't love 12-year-old Allie, you're going to find it really hard to love Allie even right now. And it was so true. It was like having to look back at myself when I was 12 years old and going, oh, Allie, you're perfect just the way you are. You don't have to try to achieve to be anything else. It's been a lesson. It's been a long journey of unlayering and uncovering layers of self-hatred that I have felt, and learning to be okay with all the parts of me. The journey of learning to love yourself is hard to bring somebody in on. It's so vulnerable. And I remember when Elijah and I were dating, bringing him in on this specific thing felt like the biggest challenge of my life. Like, it's so vulnerable to share with somebody the spaces and the places that you don't even truly know if you love and if you can love in your own self, let alone if somebody else can love. And I think for me on our journey, it was a lot of moments of Elijah going, Allie, I don't want you to call me 2 days later when you've figured it all out and you know why you were so sad and you are all better now. I want you to call me when you are a mess, when you're in the midst of it, when you're crying yourself to sleep, or whatever the deal is. I want to be brought into the midst of it. I don't want to be called 3 days later when you've got it all sorted. And that doesn't feel like being vulnerable. That doesn't feel like building intimacy with me. Obviously, I didn't do that on the first date. I didn't just feel like I have trust with you, I can call you. There's a very real process of when you're dating somebody, of building trust and building up to a place where you know you can trust them and you have enough intimacy and they're your best friend, and you know that you can call them when you're at your rock bottom and you're at your lowest point. But for me, it was still so hard to pull somebody into that space where I really truly was at my rock bottom. And it looked like practicing that. That looked like if I woke up in the middle of the night and I was having horrible thoughts about myself, I picked up the phone and I called Elijah, because that's where we were at in our relationship. He was like, I want to go into marriage. This is during our engagement. Elijah told me, Allie, if you're in the midst of something, I need to know that when I'm married to you, you're not going to try to hide it from me, but you're going to bring me into that. So we're engaged. We're now preparing for marriage. And I need you to call me when you're in the middle of a mess. And I remember it being so hard for me to call him in those moments. Being vulnerable and open and honest with Elijah wasn't just easy. It didn't just happen overnight. This looked like real, raw practice. And I remember there would be moments where I was like, oh, I just am going to go in my car and go for a drive and cry. And obviously there's moments where that's okay. But then there were moments where I was like, oh, I know I really should bring somebody into this, and going, this might be so awkward. I don't know what I'm going to say to him, but I'm going to say, hey, you told me to call you when I'm having one of these moments, and I'm having one of these moments. And hearing, oh, Al, I'm so sorry. Having somebody in that space with you, it's so vulnerable. But it began to really heal those parts of myself that I felt like I couldn't share with anybody. Really began to show me that, oh, these parts aren't that ugly. They're actually beautiful. This is the beauty of life, is we all have these kind of moments. Everybody has these kind of moments, and it's really okay to not be okay. So it was quite a journey of learning to be vulnerable in our relationship. But it set us up in these moments now where I'm having a really hard day and I can just go crying to Elijah, hey, I don't know why I feel so sad, or I don't know why I'm feeling these hard emotions. Here I am, just telling you so you know, so that you're brought into my process. Sometimes that's all you need. You just need to be told, oh, that's okay that you feel that way. I don't need him to have an answer. I just need him to be there. So whether that's your fiance, your husband, or your best friend, it's just learning to be okay with not being okay. We're all in this together. So I just wanted to give some encouragement to the person out there that's on the journey with me of learning to love yourself, that maybe today you're feeling some emotions you wish you didn't feel, or you're looking back at old photos of yourself and you're like embarrassed about who that person was. And I just want to challenge you to look at that photo of yourself from years past where you feel embarrassed about who you were and what you were doing at that time, and ask the Holy Spirit, ask the Lord to show you how he saw you in that moment. And truly, I believe the Lord's going to show you things that you never even saw in yourself in that moment. He sees us in such a different perspective, and I feel like that's been one of the biggest healing journeys for myself, is learning to look back and love that person and see the beauty that God had created 12-year-old Allie with. She was so quirky, and she had the biggest, loudest laugh, and she just loved life. I don't know when I became ashamed of her, but I've been learning to love her again, and it's really beautiful when you learn to love yourself. Every part of yourself, because the greatest commandment that the Bible gives us is love the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. How can you love your neighbor if you don't love yourself? There's something really beautiful about learning to love ourselves really well, because not only do we get to love others with even greater amounts of love if we love ourselves, but we get to receive love in places that we've never allowed ourselves to receive love. That's the beauty of learning to love yourself. So here's to all my friends out there on the journey with me of just learning to love ourselves at greater depths. Love y'all.